Hello guys, so are you looking for defining steps in your career by learning AWS Cloud? Then you are at the right place. Yes, we will be creating a complete playlist covering all the topics that will help you to crack AWS exam very swiftly. Okay, so majorly first we will be focusing on AWS certified developer, and then after we will cover those like different topics that would help you to create to crack solution architect exam as well. Okay, so first in this video we will be going to discuss like Amazon EC2. So like we will be discussing on like the few basics, and then after we will quickly jump over to the console to see how we can create an EC2 machine. Okay, so the first question come in your mind is like, what is EC2? So EC2 is nothing, it is just a virtual machine that stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, so C2 means like 2 times C basically. So that's why compute cloud. Okay, so you have a machine like this laptop, you have a machine, right? And you want to have another new machine, right? And rather than purchasing from the market, what you do, you just rent it out a machine from the AWS, and AWS called it EC2. Okay, EC2 instance. So majorly in this section, we will be having like four important topics. The first one is Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, EBS, Elastic Block Storage, and then after load balancer and auto scaling group. Okay, so we will be discussing all those in the detail, but first we will be just covering the EC2 on a few basics, like EC2 few basics. Okay, so I think once you are purchasing a machine from either from the market or anywhere, you have an like different options, right? The operating system, CPU, RAM, storage, and network configurations. So AWS provide all of those configurations, and that can be done through the console. I mean the portal only. So the operating system is like Linux, Windows, Mac, custom OS as well, and there are different many other OS as well. Apart from that, we have CPUs, like how many cores you want, like one core, two core, up to 48 core, or like any number. Okay. Then after we have RAM, like the memory you wanted to have on your machine, 4 GB, 8 GB, in terms of that. And then after we have storage, how much data you want to store. So as per your requirement, you can like attach the storage with your instance machine. Then after we have networking configuration, so how you want to kept your EC2 machine, like you want to kept it in your private network, in a public network, so that is some sort of networking configuration. Then after we have firewall. So firewall is, I think, a common term basically, that controls how the traffic goes into your EC2 machine. But here EC2, I mean in AWS we called it security group. Okay, so we will see this in the detail, like all those options. Then after we have EC2 user data. Okay, so EC2 user data is like, let's discuss this EC2 user data in more detail. So suppose an scenario like you have an EC2 machine, and you just create that instance from the AWS portal, and then after you wanted to let's say like run you wanted to execute some specific script on that instance. Okay, so running that script would take would not be issue if you have a single instance, but if it would be like the hundred or thousands of the instance, and running those script on each individual EC2 by just logging into that EC2 machine would be very typical, right? So for this, to sort out this problem, AWS provides this EC2 user data, so that allows you basically run commands and script during the installation time. Then after it says that script is only run once at the installation, at the instance first start. So like once this instance is creating EC2, I mean AWS will be going to run that script on your behalf, and it would not run that script after that and anytime. Doesn't matter you restart your machine, either you hibernate your machine or anything like that. It would not be executed next time. Then after the EC2 user data script runs with the root user privileges. So this question usually comes in the AWS exam, like what is the privileges user data script have? So it is kind of a root user. Okay, root user privileges. Then after I have list down some of the like use cases where you can use this user data script. So you want to install the updates, kind of sudo apt-get update, and then after you want to install some of the software, you want to apply some security settings, you want to set some environment variable, so you can do that using the EC2 user data. Okay, then after there are certain limitations as well. The first one is the size is limited to 16 KB, the script size. Then after debugging can be challenging. The reason being is you will not get the exact error message. So that could be an issue. And then after, it is non-interactive. So when AWS is running your user script, you will not be getting a terminal open on the console. Okay, so it is a non-interactive kind of thing. So I think that is easy EC2 user data. So I hope it is clear. So I have listed down an example as well. So on the first command, like basically I am saying like I am running a bash script. Then after I am like just updating the packages and installing the Nginx, and then after starting the Nginx service. Okay, so Nginx, if you don't know, so it is basically a kind of a server like thing in very layman terms, and you can access that server using the EC2 public IP. Okay, so if you don't know what is public IP, so basically it is just a way to access your machine. Okay, so okay, so after that let's discuss this. Okay, so we will jump over to the console to see all those things, but let's discuss this EC2 security group as well. So basically, security group is like control how traffic is allowed inside your EC2 instance. Okay, so basically security group maintains a list of the IPs which are allowed to your network, right? So here if you see, I have a table in which we have an IP. Okay, 192.168.43.241. so this basically implies if the traffic comes from this IP .241 IP, traffic would be allowed inside the EC2 machine. Okay, so this IP got served. But if the traffic comes from 242 IP that is not in the list, so this IP got blocked here only. So it would not get entered inside the network or inside the EC2 machine. Okay, so that's the use like you can use this security group in this way. So it is a kind of a security practice. You don't want to like enclose like you disclose your EC to everyone. Okay, so what you do, you will add your own IP address inside the security group. Okay, so we have here the security group only contains allowed rules. So as we are like sorry, so we have here only the IPs which are allowed it, but we don't have like explicitly all the other IPs that are not in the list are denied kind of a thing. Okay, then we have a live demo. Let's jump over to the console. So I think here I am assuming you already have an AWS free tier account activated, and if you don't have, you can probably just Google it like free tier AWS account, and you will be redirected to the correct page. And it is really very simple to follow. And if you face any issue, please let me know. I will definitely help you. Okay. So once you have this AWS account ready, just go to the search tab and type EC2, and once you have this came up in the service, just click on this EC2 virtual service in the cloud. Okay, and once you click on it, you would be getting page something like this, and then you need to click on instance running. Okay, so there are certain different options, I know, but for now let's just focus on this instance only. So this instance is basically the virtual machines that we are talking about. Okay, so what I am going to do is I will going to create a new instance. Okay, so first it is asking for what are the name and text you want to provide. Okay, so name, let us suppose let's give it test machine. Okay, for now. So you can add text as well. So text is kind of a key value pair if you want to like attach any, but for now let's remove this and I will just name it as test machine again. After that it is asking for application and OS images. Okay, so as we seen here, like we have this OS operating system configuration. So here AWS is kind of asking to us which OS you want, either Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows. So we have multiple operating system, but for now let's stick to Ubuntu only. Okay, after that it is saying this image is free tier eligible, like don't have any cost. And then after we have architecture, it is of kind of x86 or ARM, so let's keep it to default only. Then we have here CPU and RAM. Okay, so here AWS provides a different combination of like the CPU and RAM. So the first one is one virtual CPU and 0.5 GB memory. Okay, one virtual CPU, 1 GB memory. Then we have virtual 1 vCPU and 2 GB memory. So it is kind of increasing. Okay, so we can select any of those things, like any of the type, it's just depending on your requirement. So for now let's stick to the minimal we have. Okay, and the minimal is 1 CPU and 0.5 GB memory, and it is costing around us 0.0062 USD per hour. So you can multiply by 24 hours and then see for how much it would cost you for a day, right? So that is instance type. We will see this T2 thing, like what does this T2 stands for in the next video. So like once we are in the like more deeper discussing all those things. Okay, so then after we have this key pair. So obviously if you have a machine like right, so you all obviously have a password to connect to that, right? So AWS don't find this password a very safe thing. So for that perspective, AWS use something called key pair, okay, which is equivalent to password you can consider for now. If you don't know, then after for what I will do, I will create a new key pair, kind of a new password, and then after I will name it like test machine key pair, okay. And then after just keep all the configurations as default, and then after I will click on create key pair. I will create it. Yeah. So now if you see this test machine key pair.pem file get downloaded onto your machine, and this has been selected as well. Okay, so now we have like configured this option, right? Then we have network settings. So let's skip this for now. Just see this security group. Already we have discussed this, like it controls how the traffic like would be allowed it or not. So here it is kind of allowing SSH traffic, okay. So allow SSH traffic is like SSH is just a protocol that is used to connect to your machine, okay. So AWS by default allowing it, okay. So it is kind of suggesting you to allow this. The reason being is if you deselect it, you would not be able to access your machine, okay. So it is kind of giving you by default suggesting you this option so that you can connect to that this EC2 machine, okay. After that the question arises, okay, we can connect to SSH traffic, but who can connect to SSH traffic like on the SSH for the SSH traffic? So we have this anywhere, okay. So anywhere is like anyone in the world who has this key pair can access to your EC2 machine. But if we wanted to make it more secure, so what we will do, we will add only my IP, okay. So now if you guys also have this key pair, but you would not be able to access this EC2 machine, the reason being is your IP like your IP kind of would not match, okay. It like whenever a request came, it takes if your IP is matches with this IP, it would only allow if it is match, and if not allow, like if not match, it will reject that traffic, okay. So for now let's keep it simple, just for anywhere. Then after we have storage. So we already seen this, like the 8 GB storage. There are different types of storage as well: general purpose, provisioned IOPS, cold STD. So we will discuss all those in the detail in the later section, okay. Then after we have storage, then okay, in the advanced details there are certain options, but for now let's skip all of this and come to the last, and we have here user data, okay. So we already seen this user data. So I have an example script. Let's copy this script and I will paste it here. Just remove these dots. Yeah. So we already discussed this, like what is this user script is doing. So it is optional. Like if you don't want to do anything, you can like just kind of skip it as well. And then after it's all done. Now you want to see the summary. So summary is we are creating only single instance. Like you can make it 100,000 or anything like that. Okay. So for now let's keep it one only. And then after software is image is Ubuntu, virtual server is T2.nano, like one CPU or I think 0.5 GB, and this storage is 8 GB. Okay, so let's click on launch instance. So it is launching the initiation and it's done. Okay, so now we have this EC2 I think in the pending state as of now. So let's discuss what AWS is providing out of the box. So we have this instance ID, just a unique identifier, and then the name which we have provided, and then after we have public IP address. Okay, so public IP address is kind of a thing that allows you to access this EC2 machine, like what is inside this EC2 machine. Okay, so if I open this URL, I mean open it in the new tab, I will be able to see the Nginx server page. Okay, so that's the thing. I will come here as well. Then after we have private IP address. So this would not be accessible over the internet, but if you are on the same network, like in which your EC2 lie, you can access the EC2 from that using this IP. So if you don't know, no worries, we will discuss this in the later phase. Then after we have this platform as Ubuntu. Then key pair name is test machine key pair, and then I think one more thing is this vCPU we need to confirm, like always make sure we have created the we selected the right instance type. So the reason being is like very, if you select it wrong, like it would be very costly for you, right? So even if you are done, like if you're following with me, if and once you are done with the all of those things, make sure you terminate this EC2 instance. Okay, I will let you know. So that's all EC2. I think we get it. Now let's copy this and let's try to open this in the new tab. Okay, and if you see, we are not able to open this in the URL. Okay, and the reason is we already discussed the security group. So as of now in the security group, we haven't allowed it the traffic from my IP address on this EC2. Okay, so even if it is kind of by default going to 80 port, I mean trying to open that. So let's allow the traffic from IP address, from any IP address as of now, on this EC2. So how we will do, like we will go to the instance page, then after scroll down a little and we have the security section. After that, let's open this security groups. Okay, I will go open it in the new tab, and here the security group homepage comes, and then we need to scroll down a little and we have here inbound rules. Okay, so inbound rules are the one that define who is allowed it inside your inside your EC2 machine, inside your network kind of thing, or EC2 machine, you can say anything. So what I will do, I will edit this inbound rule. Make sure don't get confused with this rule. It is only allowing you to SSH into your EC2 machine. So SSH is something completely different. It is just a way to log in into your EC2 machine. Okay, it is not kind of opening a page. Okay, so we will see what is this SSH, but for now let's not get confused. So SSH usually it runs on port 2022 while we are opening port 80. Okay, so that's the reason this rule will not going to affect anything. So I will add a new rule. I will select the port as 80. IP as of now, let's select anywhere. Okay, if you allow 0.0.0.0/0, it would allow any IP to access your EC2 machine on the port 80. Okay, so I will save it and I will run it, and here you see we got this page. Okay, so that's the nice thing about the security group. In this way we are controlling the access, like who can access this EC2 machine, right? So let's for now I think that's sufficient. Let's see how we can terminate this EC2 machine. So I go back, and then after in the instance state, either you can stop it, reboot it, and hibernate it and terminate it. Okay, so for now let's if you stop this instance, there would be cost associated with that as well. So let's for now terminate this. So it would be going to delete all the things that we have created. Okay, so now successfully terminated this instance. Okay, so now we don't have this. If I go back and refreshes, so kind of it is shutting down, and then after it will delete. Okay, so I think we have covered a lot. So in the next video we will be going to discuss this EC2, like the other configuration in the more detail. If you have any doubt, any questions for me, please let me know in the comment section. And if you wanted to just following with me, please do subscribe to the channel, so that you got to know I every time posted a new video. Okay, thank you.